Army's been looking to advance their night vision for a number of years, and in order to do that, they've really called on industry. We're here at the L3 Harris Washington, D.C. office to take a closer look at the Enhanced Night Vision Goggle Binocular. So Leif, show us what we're looking at here.
Hey Todd, this is the most advanced goggle the U.S. Army has ever seen. It's the Enhanced Night Vision Goggle Dash Binocular, so the ENVGB for short. We have two versions of that. The directed requirement version, which is here in black, and then the program of record version, which is here in tan.
Well, I understand there's different modes that you can use this in. Can you show us like how simple is it to operate? Like, what do you do to make this thing work?
Yeah, it's really just a couple of buttons. So you got a power button on the front end, and then that same button, once you do a long press, you can scroll through different menus. So you have I squared only, which is white phosphor night vision, and then you have I squared and a compass that goes across at the top, so you know where your directions and which way your head is looking. And then you go to a fusion mode, which is where the thermal comes in. And with that thermal, you can use the second button, the rear button, to go through a white hot, a black hot, or an outline mode. And then lastly, the fourth version is go back to that front button, and you get to an I squared fusion in RTA mode, and that comes in with the FWSI for your rapid target acquisition.
And it's not just the goggle. The goggle's pretty cool by itself, but also you can do some stuff with some other devices like your weapon. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so there's different parts of the kit, but one of the parts of the kit that the Army is also providing to go along with this is the FWSI, which comes out of PEO Soldier also. And then this wirelessly connects to the goggle itself. And this essentially is a thermal camera on its own that sits on your rifle. And you can either use this as a sighting mechanism, which is what the RTA is, or the rapid target acquisition, or you can use that in a picture-in-a-picture, or even a full picture inside your goggle.
So I mean, if you had that camera, you could actually like take your weapon and like look over like a barricade. If you're undercover, you could even go around a corner and see kind of what's around that corner before you have to use it. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Because what this is looking at is where your rifle is. You can be looking at a totally different direction. So in picture-in-a-picture or in the full picture mode, that you can be looking 90 degrees or even over your shoulder.
Okay. So this isn't some sci-fi thing. I mean, soldiers already have, some soldiers already have versions of these at least, right? Tell me a little about that.
This is real, right? We've delivered over 6,000 of these systems already to the Army, to the frontline troops, 82nd, 101st, 25th ID. Soldiers are out there, using these both in real world and in training.
Well, that's a pretty interesting piece of gear. Do you mind if I try it on?
Oh, please do.
Okay, thanks. So right now I'm in what's called I squared fused outline mode. So basically most of the picture is kind of a grayish or black and white. It's much better contrast than the old green phosphorus, much more clear, detailed, almost like high definition camera, just black and white. But the thermal portion of it is creating these outlines, and I'm seeing an outline of his shoulders, of his head, his face, even the mask he's wearing. And what that is that's basically taking thermal and just taking away the whole heat blob you would normally see of a thermal and defining the outlines of where that heat is at and how the materials might contrast. So you can even see like someone's tie, or if they're holding a phone versus like holding a rifle, you would see the detailed outline of that rifle. Some of the features in here that are pretty helpful, you have a kind of a heads-up display version for your compass heading. So I can literally like spin my head around. I'm looking at a 330-degree compass heading going northwest right now. I'm spinning here. I'm out in the middle of nowhere. I kind of lost my sense of direction, but I'm exactly due west on 270 degrees. You can go off thermal, just a straight I squared, which is just the contrast, so you don't have to use up battery with the thermal until you need it. There's the Family Weapon Sights individual software that is hooked into this that has rapid target acquisition. That allows you to hook the camera to your weapon, and then you're seeing a kind of either a picture-in-picture view or an actual kind of like a weapon sight floating around wherever you're pointing it within your visual frame. So you're seeing a camera on your weapon and also seeing a camera of what's in front of you. So right now I'm in a pretty brightly lit room. I do have the night vision on in a fuse mode with thermal, but when you turn the lights out, everything changes. With the lights out, I'm in this mode where everything pops out, but it's just the individual heat source I'm looking at. So I'm looking at this gentleman right here. I'm seeing heat coming off of his shoulders and different variations on his arms. It's almost like a negative of an old film camera. Like I'm seeing the contrast pop out in a kind of a faded orange. And I see almost every detail of contrast. Everything around there is pretty dark, pretty black. So he pops right out. So if you were standing behind a bush, or if you were like a part of his shoulder were sticking around a corner, I would not miss that at all. So let me jump into another mode. I can go into black hot where it just reverses it. So just like the negative image I was trying to give you before, he's now very dark with some shades of the heat coming off of him, and everything else around him in this large rectangle is orange. So it also gives you just pop out contrast. I'm basically like taking a scanning of a thermal image in that little kind of rectangular box and kind of scanning my whole area, and it just kind of pulls out a very dark image of where the heat's coming from. And then lastly, one of the cool kind of almost sci-fi kind of looking things, or maybe kind of music video art things, is the outline mode. So it basically creates almost like a sketch, like a neon sketch of an orangish like line around all the different heat sources, pretty much the outline of the figure. I can see his head, I can see his mask, I can see his tie actually, because their different materials have contrast. And if he were to, say, put his hand on something, or maybe there was a good amount of heat source in his feet walking through a trail, that heat source actually remains there as it dissipates for just a few seconds. I can see a handprint on a wall, I can see a kind of a footprint if there's enough heat there for enough contrast for the ground for a few seconds. So a lot of different ways to kind of see what's out there and choose your mode of viewing with a thermal. So that's a look at the Army's newest night vision goggle. It's headed to troops soon. It's already out to about 6,000 now. And I'm Todd South, talking to you from L3 Harris's Washington, D.C. office.